breakfast.
Good morning, and welcome to Comics for Breakfast. I'm your host, Jason MINK. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. My producer Larry has gone into the Old Guys Who Like Old Comics archives, and he's done some raw box pulls. That's right, raw box pulls. Sounds kind of weird when you say it over and over again, but we're not going to dwell on that. Larry assures me that these are comic books that you'll want to see and that I'll want to talk about. So let's see how that goes. Right off the bat, we have, hey, it's 77 Sunset Strip. That is right. Kooky, lend me your comb. And that's it. That's all I've got, to be honest with you. I've never watched this show, never seen it in reruns. All I know is that, that had Kooky Barnes. What a dreamboat, huh? I don't blame the gals for swooning. And then what do we have? It's Adventures into the Unknown, number 154, from American Comics Group. Now, this comic has a very interesting history. It began its life as some pretty grisly pre-code horror. When the code kicked in late 1954, it transitioned into a speculative fiction, kind of sci-fi mode. And then when Batmania hit in 1965, well, ACG, they threw their hat into the ring and they created Nemesis, as well as Magic Man and, of course, Herbie. And then what do we have? It's all true crime. True cases proving crime can't win. That's right, fellas. If you were considering doing some crime this weekend, well, don't do it, man. It's not worth it. Crime can't win. As you can see by this scintillating cover, here's a sucker up on a hill. He's got to dig his own grave. Oh, what an ignoble fate. And I love this. The dialogue is fantastic. And I also really dig the fact that this gangster, well, he appears to have a little ventriloquist dummy alongside of him, tormenting his victim. Okay, sure, that's forced perspective, but, I can think what I want to think. These are my comics, after all. It's all true crime. And then what next? Oh, here's Iron Jaw. These are barbaric adventures from Atlas Comics. And I think this may be a Neil Adams cover. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments section below. Who are the creators on the inside? Michael Fleischer is the writer and illustrated by Pablo Marcos. This is a very interesting character, sort of a Conan knockoff with an iron jaw, I guess. Stay out of the rain there, buddy. And then what do we have? Oh, it's The Black Cat. And this is another interesting book with a history, for sure. When it began, it focused on Linda Turner, Hollywood stunt woman who would get geared up as the Black Cat and go on adventures, socking bald guys in the head, absolutely. And once superheroes kind of went out of vogue, Black Cat transitioned into a number of different titles. It was Black Cat Mystery, it was Black Cat Western, it was even Black Cat Horror for a little while. But when the 60s rolled around, well, Harvey decided to dust these stories off, and that's how I have them. They're pretty nifty. Yes, they're sans cover, but they have this nice little square-bound spine, and they're the stories as they're meant to be read. Absolutely. So these are a blast. And then what do we have? It's the Black Hood! That is right. As far as Archie Comics goes, kind of funny to think that they would have a red-headed stepchild, but the Archie Comics superheroes are definitely that. No matter what the publisher would try and do, they couldn't get these characters to catch on. But you do have some great creators. Here's some Alex Toth artwork from 1983. Little interesting image on the back there. By Gray Morrow. So yeah, you could tell they were throwing everything in the kitchen sink at it, but just wasn't catching on. Some things don't. Like Atlas Comics. That's Blazing Battle Tales featuring Sergeant Hawk. That is right, and I love this book not only because it's an atlas, but because it has this wonderful sticker on it. This indicates that this comic was $6 for $1. Somewhere, I don't know, McCrory's, G.C. Murphy, your mileage may vary, but I think it's pretty nifty. I'm not really a big war comics guy, but I am mental for those Atlas comics, so I made it a point to add that to the archive. Okay, then we have the Modern Comics reprint of the Blue Beetle, and here he is, bugging the squids. And then what do we have? Oh, here we go. Not all Archie runs were complete misses. This one reprinted some classic Simon and Kirby Shield stories from the late 1950s. These are a lot of fun. For sure, I picked this book up for $1. You can still find these, and they feature that classic comics goodness. Well, you just can't live without. I know that I can't. And then the following issue featured Simon and Kirby's The Fly. That is right. There he is. Never seen a green and yellow fly before, but, well, maybe I haven't been looking hard enough. And then here's Boris Karloff's Tales of Mystery and the Thing called Ilona. And, yeah, I used to date her. I'm not shy, I'll admit it, for sure. She was a lovely girl. And then we have, here's some more Boris Karloff. And he discovered who the monster of the launching pad was. It was himself! Wait a minute. I think these two would actually be a much better pair. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah, you guys get together. Name your child after me. And then what do we have? Oh, it's Brain Fantasy. That is right. Now, as a young deviant, I made it a point to stick my nose where it wasn't wanted, and periodically we would go nebbing in friends' parents' personal belongings, and we stumbled across their psychedelic stash. This was among those items, and I don't know, I guess I should feel ashamed for taking it, but hey, I've had my share of brain fantasies thanks to this comic, so I guess it's fulfilled its duty anyway. Then we have Crime Cases. That is right, number 9. And I love this cover because it's one of those cutaway covers that's always compelled me. That's right. For my time as a young comics viewer, I've always gone in for those books where I can see all of the action. And from street level all the way up to the top floor of the armory, you can tell what's going on behind the locked doors of 1313 Center Street. That is right. True police cases proving crime can't win. So once again, thinking about doing some crimes this weekend. Rein it in. And this counts as a public service announcement, to be honest with you. I'm hoping to get some time off my parole. And then we have Crime Does Not Pay, but it sure is delicious, apparently, because as you can see, this section of the corner has been eaten off by someone who really appreciates comics even more than I do. But I guess they were nice enough to at least leave it readable for me. And hey, let's talk about that Charles Biro cover, huh? This is right on the cusp where horror comics were transitioning over to the more horrific. And man, that is dynamite. Absolutely. And then what do we have? It's Dick Cole. Who? Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. This is a very strange little book. It's all about an all-American athlete-type fellow who's, he's just a real go-getter when it comes right down to it. We got some Jim Wilcox art here, and apparently it's the love child of Clint and Ron Howard. This book is a delight, and if you pester me enough, I will feature it on a Comics for Breakfast. And then here's a book that I picked up on vacation a few years back. I didn't even know this existed. Die, Monster, Die. And how weird is that? A Dell adaptation of an H.P. Lovecraft movie. It's astounding. It's strange. It's weird. It's all of those things and more. It's a check that the cover couldn't possibly cash by the interiors, but certainly happy to have it in the collection. Then we have The Unknown Worlds of Frank Bruner, and this is one of two, and this features Mr. Bruner's artwork from the 60s and 70s with some very striking horror stories, including Santa Claus. How cool is that? The answer? Very. And then, can first love be true love? First Love and My Scandal-Smeared Love. That is right, they're true love stories featuring a peepin' Lois Lane. Oh man, someone get a restraining order on her. She's a menace. And then we have The Many Ghosts of Dr. Graves, and the most magenta of all the ghosts. But, hey, it was the 70s after all. These Charlton books are funny because you think they're going to be so very staid and tame, but then you crack them open and they're all about devil worship, possession, and madness. So, yeah, that's 6p well spent. Whatever the hell that equals in real money. And then here's Gomer PYLE. GOL-LEE! Oh, man. And there's Sarge shaking his head. These are your tax dollars at work, folks. That is right. Hot on the heels of Shang-Chi, we have Atlas Comics, The Hands of the Dragon. And here's the movie that I want to see, absolutely. From the Holocaust of an atomic explosion comes the toughest kung fu fighter of them all. That is right. This is the explosive origin issue. And it was so explosive, there was only one. Nothing was left. You couldn't even print the book after that. There was just a big smoking crater in the ground. And then I'll see your giant-sized man-thing, and I'll raise you my jumbo-size Henry. That is right. You know that I love those teen humor books, and this one, not great, to be honest with you. You know, I gotta say, while the cover is all right, the interior artwork is kind of scratchy. You know, it doesn't really have a whole lot of charm or appeal, and the writing pretty abysmal when it comes right down to it for a Henry Brewster book. You know, I'm guessing there might be better examples out there. Let me know in the comment section below. I could be completely off base on this. I'd hate to think I was wrong. And then what do we have? It's the Lone Ranger's famous horse, Hi-Yo Silver! That is right. Now, my mother loved horses. She was a big fan of the Lone Ranger, so this is a very special comic book to me. Absolutely. But I gotta say, I like the idea of Silver having his own comic. I mean, the Lone Ranger, yeah, he's great. We don't need him. You know what I mean? Silver can have his own adventures. Here he's meeting a bunny friend. You know, he can meet a bear. He can meet another horse. You know, there's all sorts of stuff he can do. So, yeah, I'm all about Silver having his own comic. And then here's Jumbo. This is number 145. And this is Sheena of the Jungle. That is right. And she's trying to escape from the Killers of the Crypt. So, good luck with that, honey. And then we have Kanga, the Jungle King. Now, I'm not really a big Jungle Comics guy, but 2 Jungle Comics in a row might put the lie to that idea. But, hey, this is another IW comic, and this reprints some older strips. And here, Kanga is about to have a mud hole stomped into his ass. That is right. And then on the back, Well, there's been a new discovery in hypnotism, so you might want to get in on that. And then here we have Crazy Crow, number 7. That's funny. I don't know who these guys are, but definitely I like the cut of his jib. For sure. And then check out this epic ad on the back. It's the giant, sensational, operational jetocopter, made of high-impact styrene and plastic. Flies horizontally or rises straight up. You are in control. That is right. So, dominate the airspace in your neighborhood with the jetocopter. Don't be left behind, kids. And then here's Little Dot. And I just adore this cover. What can I say? I love the color. I love the composition. You know, this one really sends me in the same way that the music is sending Little Dot. And apparently, well, she's got one of those Crossley record players that are so controversial. But, hey, whatever it takes, I guess. Enjoy music in whatever form you choose to. Then here's the all-new Teen Confessions. That's right. Don't settle for those Teen Confessions for last year. Those aren't going to do anything for you. You need the new stuff. That's right. And here it is, 30 cents. And it's from your friends in the Charlton group. And in this issue, find a word puzzle page. It's like they're not even trying. And then Rip-Off Press presents Underground Classics, Dealer McDope, number 2. And maybe here's a book that you don't see all that often. This is a Dave Sheridan classic. It's for adults only. And there's Dave in his element. Some very expressive and lovely artwork in there. I remember reading this and getting a real kick out of it. So yeah, let's hear for Dealer McDope. And then we have Teenage Hot Rodders. That is right. Racers, racers, racers. Rods, rods, rods. Exclamation points, exclamation points, exclamation points. Not to mention your math homework. That's right. And this is from the Big Bird Shoe Comics. So, yeah, in tandem with Charlton, that's right. They're bringing you all the best for the happiest feet. That's bluebirds. And then, what is this? Oh, you know it, baby. It's Tippy Teen. This is the special collector's edition, and this is taking stories from issue 1 on and giving them to us in this nice little square-bound edition. I enjoyed this book because I'm in the process of building my run of Tippy, and these are some of the best stories for sure. These are also reprinted in the Atlas Comics Vicky line, with some subtle changes, of course. And we're going to wrap things up with The Super Cops. That is right. This is one of the first comics that I talked about on the Old Guys Who Like Old Comics Network, and it remains one of my favorites. From the fantastic Gray Morrow artwork to the jaw-dropping stories inside, this one is an absolute classic, based on a book, which is based on a movie, which is based on a comic, which is based on a watch. Actually, I don't know how they all go together, but it's well worth your time for sure. You can still find this book in the dollar bins, and it's a blast. Well, hey, those were some great choices, Larry. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us on this altogether unexpected episode of Comics for Breakfast. Consider this one of those Marvel fill-in issues from the 70s. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Mink, and I hope to see you next Sunday at breakfast. I know that might be controversial, but hey, come at me, bro.